I have the great pleasure of introducing Mike Schreiner, the leader of the Green Party of Ontario and MPP for Guelph, who made history in 2018 as the first ever Green MPP elected to the Ontario Legislature. Please welcome Mike Schreiner.
Good morning, everyone. Bonjour tout le monde. Je suis ravi de passer du temps avec vous. Before I begin, I'd like to acknowledge that I'm addressing you from the treaty lands of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. And I want to express my gratitude for the Indigenous people who have cared for this land, the water, the plants, and the animals who live here. The unmarked graves being uncovered across the country are a stark reminder of the horrors that occurred in residential schools across Canada. And I want to reaffirm the Green Party's commitment to the truth and reconciliation process, which is vital to combating colonialism and systemic racism. I also want to deeply thank Indigenous peoples for the lessons they have taught me about stewardship, taking care of people, the land and water today and for the next 7 generations. Stewardship is at the core of what the Green Party is all about, caring for the land, the water, the planet, and for each other. Each of you are stewards of your community, and I want to thank you for your service and for your leadership in helping your community navigate the pandemic. And I want to express our commitment to working with you to mitigate the effects of a 4th wave of the pandemic by making sure that healthcare and education workers are vaccinated, the people working with and caring for the most vulnerable in our community, and working with business leaders and healthcare leaders to ensure that we have vaccine certificates so they can make responsible decisions to keep our communities and our people safe. The Ontario Greens are committed to working with municipal leaders on a green and caring recovery from the pandemic. And that begins with a green plan to build livable, affordable communities. Communities are connected by affordable and accessible transit. Communities where broadband is an essential service, where everyone has an affordable place to call home. Communities that actually work for people, not speculators, where local streets are lined with bike lanes, trees, and thriving small businesses, accessible for people of all abilities. Communities with equitable access to parks, amenities, and services, where roads are safe for everyone, with places where people and families can connect. Communities where our air and water is clean, where people have access to healthy local food to eat. Communities that are connected, affordable, and sustainable, where it doesn't take the average Ontarian 21 years to save for a down payment to be able to buy a house, or take a minimum wage worker a 79-hour work week just to afford a 1-bedroom apartment. We need communities that are designed with inclusion and equity, where the color of your skin or your age or the fact that you have a disability doesn't prevent you from finding a place to call home. We need to build communities with less sprawl so we avoid the long commutes that take us away from family and friends. Instead, let's build 15-minute communities where all of life's necessities are just a walk, transit, or bike ride away, where prosperous local economies enable people to work and thrive in urban and rural communities. These are the types of communities people want. And this is the world Greens want to build. And the Ontario Greens have a plan to make these types of communities a reality by working with municipalities as an actual partner, not just another layer of government. The province can't keep downloading cost on the municipalities and cutting funding when you need it most. It's unsustainable and it's irresponsible. And so Greens believe the province must step up. Ontario Greens are committed to provincially funding 50% of all shelter and community housing costs, while still allowing municipalities to maintain management control. Greens are also committed to funding 50% of transit operating costs so we can reduce gridlock by getting people out of cars and onto transit that is affordable, accessible, and electrified. The data is clear. Transportation is the leading source of pollution in Ontario, and investing in good, clean transit is key to addressing the climate crisis and improving people's health. Ontario Greens have a plan to tackle the climate and housing crisis at the same time by addressing the housing affordability crisis in a way that reduces the sprawl that forces people into unacceptably long commutes. Greens will deliver innovative, affordable solutions like modular housing, infill development, and building the missing middle. We can increase housing supply without paving over the farmland and wetlands or reducing the power of conservation authorities to protect us from flooding. We've already lost 75% of wetlands in southern Ontario, and we're losing farmland at an alarming rate of 175 acres a day. We must protect the land that feeds us and the green spaces that protect us from the climate emergency that is being felt right now. Devastating forest fires, record-breaking heat waves, severe flooding, and F2 scale tornadoes. This summer has seen frequent and intense extreme climate-induced weather events. We've all seen the devastation on the nightly news, and some of you have experienced it firsthand in your communities. Without a doubt, municipalities will bear the brunt of climate adaptation. And that's why the Ontario Greens are committed to helping municipalities fund climate adaptation in their communities and for their infrastructure. And we will create thousands of jobs in the process, kickstarting the economy as we recover from COVID, making our communities more climate resilient, energy efficient, and prosperous. And that's why Greens are committed to a historic $5 billion green building program as part of our housing strategy to create jobs, save energy and money while reducing climate pollution. Now is the time to invest in emerging clean tech markets with a high return on investment so we can kickstart the economy with new careers and good, clean jobs. Let's make Ontario the global leader in sustainable mining and EV manufacturing, in green building design and construction, in sustainable farming and forestry, leading the way in bioproducts. The bottom line is that climate action is job action. Building a better, more just economy means making sure we support workers and small businesses, including those owned by women, Black, Indigenous, and racialized people. While the Ford government was busy propping up big box stores during the pandemic, Greens were fighting to level the playing field for small local businesses, the heart of our vibrant downtowns. My friends, we are at a turning point that will define us for generations to come. We need to learn from the lessons of the past year and a half. And it's clear that the path where we were on was not sustainable or just. The old path did not adequately care for the people and places we love. So let's choose a different path. Let's build the world we want, a world where everyone has an affordable place to call home, where communities are connected and sustainable, where everyone has access to timely mental health services, with affordable childcare, properly funded healthcare and schools, a stable climate, and prosperous local economies. A world where municipalities have the necessary resources to support their residents. I want you to take a moment and imagine the type of community you want to live in. And then imagine a provincial government not driven by hyper-partisanship or big money donations, but a real commitment to working with you to build the communities you want to lead. I'm committed. The Ontario Greens are committed to providing the leadership needed to build the world your residents want. So let's get to work on building that world today, together. Thank you, merci, megwich.
Thank you, Mr. Schreiner.